What's up everyone, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to have a look at the top 10 midfielders for you guys to own in FPL. Let's get into them. So welcome back to another video everyone. This is the second part in my 3-video series for this week. We're going to have a look at my top 10 FPL midfielders that I think you should consider owning. So I've already recorded the defenders, so if you haven't watched that, make sure you go and do so, and the forwards will be out later this week. We're going to have a look across different price points, as we did with the defenders, across different teams at 10 of the best midfielders that I think we should all consider owning for game week 1. A few noticeable mentions, as we did before, is Zaha, De Bruyne and Diogo Jota. Now, Zaha may seem a strange one, but at 7 million, this new look Crystal Palace side, they seem to be wanting to play a bit more of an attacking style. Zaha is likely to be involved on penalties as well. I think at 7 million, that pockets in the season, he will provide good value, but maybe not for game week 1, given some of their opening fixtures. De Bruyne, 12 million. I do really like him as an option, but 12 million given his goal scoring ability in the last season just feels a bit much. If we knew he was on penalties, for example, then it may be worth it. But again, we don't know that. We don't know quite who's going to take it given the amount of different City players that have taken it. And then we've gone with Jota, a great set of opening fixtures, but I just don't know quite how often he's going to play, whether he's going to be rotated with the likes of Firmino and others in there. So 7.5 million for Jota I like, and I can see why a lot of people are owning him. However, there are other options that I would probably consider picking before him. So if we dive into the first one on the list, it's actually another Manchester City player, which means that De Bruyne does not make it into my top 10 list, and this is Mahrez coming in at 9 million. So we all know what Mahrez is capable of. He got 6.1 points per start, which is a crazy good return. However, it's the fact that he doesn't start every week. So he started 13 of the last 20 games, which is much better than we've seen from him at parts in the season, especially given that they were playing Champions League football throughout a lot of this. It does make me think that he is now the first choice right wing in that Manchester City attack, and when Pep can, he will play Mahrez, which is why he's in my list. They do have some nice fixtures to open it, particularly Norwich at home in game week 2, Southampton at home in game week 5. But of course we know that Manchester City and Mahrez can score goals, and a lot of goals, against whatever team they're playing against. I just want to make sure that he is ready and able to play and in Pep's first team for come the start of the season. But at 9 million, saving 3 million on De Bruyne, I really think Mahrez could be a good differential for the start of the season. Second on the list is, of course, Mo Salah. Just to get him out of the way, we can talk a little bit about him. I've often brushed over him and just said Salah's a great option, blah, 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 but actually why that is. So he returned 6.26 points per start, and the most important thing for me about Salah is his reliability in being a captaincy option. We all know how important captaincy is, and he often just ticks along. Maybe not as many double-digit returns as someone like Fernandes or Kane, but he's often on the score sheet, often picking up an assist, which helps if you're doubling it as your captain to get those returns. He was the third highest scoring player in FPL last season and has an incredible set of opening fixtures: Norwich, Burnley, Leeds, Crystal Palace and Brentford. He finished the season very well, and actually if he'd have had that period over Christmas where a lot of us captained him and he dropped off form a little bit, if he'd have scored maybe even 1 goal or 2 goals, he would be the number 1 highest scoring player in FPL. So given those opening fixtures, I see myself captaining Salah on probably 4 of those opening 6 weeks. 12.5 million, making him the most expensive player in the game. I still think he's a really nice option. I'm definitely going into the season with him, and I think you all should probably as well. Next up on the list is Mason Greenwood. So it's not maybe the Manchester United player that you expected to see in this list, although we may get to Bruno Fernandes later. But 7.5 million, I think Greenwood has a lot of potential, especially given the form he showed at the end of last season. So he got 4.1 points per start, but that's because the first half of the season in particular, he got given a few starts. Manchester United weren't always at the races, and Greenwood then didn't get as many returns. But with Rashford potentially going for surgery and missing out, it could boost the amount of minutes he's likely to play even further. And with Cavani not always being fit to play, he could even play that centre forward striker role as well. In the last 8 game weeks, he got 6 goals and 1 assist, which just shows when he's given consistent starts, the team's on form, and Greenwood is as well, quite what he's capable of. So given the opening fixtures, Leeds at home, Southampton, Wolves, Newcastle, even those first 4, if he starts 3 of those 4, I think there's a lot of potential for returns. And just at 7.5 million, he has, I think he could be a great pick, especially given that Rashford is now likely to go for surgery. Next up on the list is 6.5 million Rafinha. So only 4.8 points per start and didn't actually get as many double-digit returns as he could. But the longer he spends in that Leeds team, the more adapted he's going to become, the more familiar with the way the league plays he's going to become, and so the better FPL asset. I'm surprised he only got moved up to 6.5. He should be 7.5 in my opinion. The reason for this, he's on a lot of set pieces for Leeds, and he had the most expected points per start of any Leeds player. So a lot of the Leeds centre-backs, didn't finish the chances he was creating from set pieces. He could have had potentially more goals as well. So he's only going to get better on the numbers he was producing last season, and some good fixtures to start the season. Burnley away, Newcastle away, Everton at home, West Ham at home. But we know Leeds and Rafinha can return points against anyone in the league. So 6.5 million, I think he's probably the best player at his price. There are a few others that are worth considering, but at 6.5, even with some potentially difficult fixtures to start the season, he's worth considering for sure. Next up is another 6.5 million option, and this is Buendia of Aston Villa, or formerly Norwich, and has moved in the summer. So last season, if for those who don't watch the Championship, he had an absolutely incredible year with Norwich and has since made the move to Aston Villa. So he was Norwich's player of the season. So just to start off, they won the league. He was the player of the season. It's a great position for him to start in. He was Norwich's second highest goal scorer, only behind Pukki, but he also got the most assists in the whole league with 16. So he combines both goals and assists. So you're not just picking him for the goals which he can score or the assists. You're going to get returns from him from all different types of points. So we also know Aston Villa are good defensively, so the odd clean sheet point as well means his ceiling is very high given his performances for Norwich last season. It's also a very nice start to the season. He plays Watford, Newcastle, Brentford in the first 3, so it could be a great way for him to get used to playing with his teammates, hit the ground running with the team and in the new Premier League season. So at 6.5 million, I know a lot of you are looking at Rafinha, but given those first 3 fixtures for Aston Villa and what Buendia was capable of last season for Norwich, I think he's more than capable of competing with the likes of Rafinha. Next up on the list, we have Son of Tottenham coming in at 10 million. So the likes of Harry Kane is getting most of the attention, but I think it's worth considering Son just because he didn't see nearly as much of a price increase as some of the other premiums are. So 6.31 points per start is a great return for Son, and he's always so consistent. So he's done this for about 3 seasons in a row, that when he starts, when he gets consistent minutes, he gets returns. And he's now considerably cheaper than all the other premiums, despite how good a start and how good a season he had last season. So it's 2.5 million saving on the likes of De Bruyne, the likes of Mane, Fernandes, that I think Son could really compete with them. Now, if Harry Kane goes, then it could do 2 things for Son. Son could become more of a focal point and they rely on him more, or he doesn't have his partner in crime, so his returns go down. But given the fact that they play Wolves away, Watford at home and Crystal Palace, given how well Son and Spurs started last season, I think at 10 million, he's definitely got to look into a lot of our teams. Next up, we have Trossard of 6.5 million, who is a player that was spoken a lot about last season, but hasn't been spoken about so much so far in pre-season, but definitely deserves a look in. He got 3.93 points per start, which is okay, especially given his price, with 5 goals and 5 assists last season. Now, we know what Brighton are like. They create a lot of chances, but often don't put the ball in the net when they should. And Trossard is more than capable of this. I remember a game last season where I think he hit the post 3 times, the bar as well. Could have had assists and goals. So this 5 goals and 5 assists is just not reflective of what Trossard is capable of. He often plays on the wing or as an attacking midfielder or as a second striker even for Brighton. And given the opening fixtures of Burnley, Watford, Everton, Brentford, Leicester and Crystal Palace, Trossard is likely to be in the starting team for Brighton almost every week, so there's potential for him to get returns given his form last season. And I think Brighton are only going to get better the more fluid they become and the more sort of aligned with the system that Potter is trying to play. So although the likes of, as we've spoken about, Rafinha, Buendia, Trossard could definitely be a good differential given their opening 6 fixtures. Next up, we have Smith Rowe of Arsenal, who's priced at just 5.5. I want to start by saying I think Smith Rowe will make a mockery of this 5.5 price range. Last season, when he was given the chance, he was so consistent, he was so good, Arteta trusted him, and now that Odegaard isn't coming back from Real Madrid, it seems that Smith Rowe is going to be given the nod to be the starting attacking midfielder under Arteta, which is great to see, both for his development but also from an FPL point of view. 4.0 points per start. He definitely came in flits and flourishes in terms of FPL returns, but is a very talented player. In terms of that opening fixtures, Brentford, Norwich, Burnley in 3 of their first 5, but Chelsea and Man City in game weeks 2 and 3. The most amazing thing about Smith Rowe is his price, and that you can afford him and then having a 5.0 defender potentially, that you could rotate with him and play the defender or another midfielder in game weeks 2 and 3, but then play Smith Rowe because he's so affordable in game weeks 1 and game weeks 4 as well. So I think if you wanted to start him every week, he's great. And if you need that to free up funds, it's a really nice price for him. But if you want to rotate him as well, just to play him in those fixtures, that could definitely work as well. Just before diving into the second half and the last few players on this, I just want to remind you to hit that subscribe button. 70% of you guys who watch my videos aren't subscribed, which is crazy. If only half of you watching this video hit subscribe who aren't already, you would catapult me towards 10k before game week 1. So if you are enjoying, please do like and subscribe. So next up, we have Bruno Fernandes of Manchester United. I couldn't do a midfield video without talking about Fernandes. 12 million for him might seem quite a lot, but the highest scoring FPL player in last season was never going to get a price anywhere lower than 12 million. 6.7 points per start is a crazy return with 18 goals and 14 assists. It did drop off slightly towards the end of the season when Pogba started to get more minutes, when there was a little bit of rotation around the Europa League, but he is their penalty taker, he is their most creative force, and at the start of the season, when it's just one game a week, there's a lot less rotation, and so Fernandes should be playing every single one of those first 6 game weeks. He's on penalties, and there are some nice fixtures in there as well for him. So Leeds at home, Newcastle at home, Aston Villa at home, and then away fixtures against Southampton, Wolves and West Ham. Fernandes is more than capable of getting returns against any team in the league, but there's definitely some fixtures in here that he can get explosive returns, sort of 10, 15 points that we know from him and we saw from him at the end of last season. So yes, it's a lot to pay for him, but there are definitely some nice fixtures in here that I would want to own Fernandes for sure. So those are my top 10 midfielders, as well as some notable mentions that you guys should consider owning for game week 1. If you aren't in my league, join the code just below, and there's a link in the description which will join you automatically. There are prizes every month to be won for those in the league, and it is for subscribers only. So if you have enjoyed, please like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all very soon.